Well, good morning, everyone. Let's see here. Getting settled back in. And let's see if we can find the guys here. How is everyone this morning? Let's see here. Bear with me, everyone. Trying to find, oh, here we go. All right, I think we're up and running now. Good morning, Alex. Let's see here. All right, I think we got that rolling there. We got this going over here. Hey, Mary Lise Brown is here. Good morning, Mary Lise. Good morning, Lee. Good morning.
Good morning. Grand Rising.
Good morning, Lee. Good to see you.
Grand Rising.
Grand Rising indeed. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, James.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm getting settled back in. Slept about 11 hours last night. Needed it.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Little jet lag.
That's what happens when you get to be my age, brother. All right, let's see. We have Joy here. Nana's here. Chris Romano is here. And, of course, Lisa Maria. Good morning, Lisa Maria. The legend, John Gwynn, is here. Christy B. from Hayesville, Kansas. Good morning. You're getting a lot of welcome backs, Lee.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm reading the chat.
Sassy Minnesota girl is here. Marianne Thompson. Wendy is here. Oh, wonderful. Andrea Lynn is here. All right, so let's see here. I think we're live on all platforms. Alex and I are going to be working on this weekend, working on the private lives for everyone, subscribers. So please, if you can, if you're able to, join us on our subscriptions on TikTok. We will be doing sub-only lives, and we're going to be Zoom calls lives for subscribers only. So would love to have you be part of that. And John Gwynn starts us off right with some donuts this morning. It is Friday, so of course it is Donut Friday. All right, here. Well, let's get this thing started. Alex, what do we got this morning with indices?
Oh, man.
Uh-oh.
Down. S&P 500 down 19 points to 5,893. The Dow Industrial Average is down 58 points to 42,157. The NASDAQ is down 102 points to 19,073. Looking at the crypto market, Bitcoin down 1.76% to 105,000. Ethereum is down 1.92% at 2,604. And XRP is down 4% to $2.19. Wah, wah, wah.
It's all right, James. Hang in there. It's going to get better.
The good news is oil is down also to $60.34 a barrel.
Excellent.
But quick headline news, core inflation falls to the lowest rate in 4 years today.
I saw that. Interesting times. Very interesting times. All right, here. Mark Masson's here. Excuse me. I have a little frog in my throat. I wonder if it's a Pepe frog. Let's see here. We have Mama Bear's here and Rosie. Good morning.
It's not Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. Lee just resubscribed for 12 months. Welcome back, Lee. And again, everybody, if you haven't subscribed, jump onto the subscription. Alex in a minute will tell you how to do that. But we'll be doing sub-only lives. And of course, we're going to be doing some Zoom call lives, but we can talk a lot more freely than we can on these open forums. All right, Lee, so what do you got for us this morning?
I was just looking up to see when this retrograde is supposed to end, and it is April 12th. So basically, it's bringing everything back to your timeline to see if you've passed like certain initiations or platforms. Yeah, so it's going to bring all that back just to kind of test you, but it does end April 12th, and then we're going straight into another one. And I want to say the next one.
Wait a second, Lee. April 12th has already passed.
Oh my God, it has, hasn't it?
Well, unless we're looking at a year-long retrograde, it could be ugly.
Right? I've been in a retrograde for the last month. So it does end. I'm off on my. Honestly, like time is so linear at this point. So basically, it's going to bring back everything, but that's what I think we're supposed to go into another one. Venus will enter the retrograde. I'm trying to get my dates together. My dates are not right.
That's okay. You have plenty of grace here with us.
So yeah, pass me and I'll come. Well, let's come back to me.
All right, let's come back.
Let me get my life together.
That's all right. Dave, are you able to? I know you're traveling. I'm not sure if you can do a report or not. Well, maybe not, because it looks like he's got low bars. Dave
Yeah,
is.
I'll give it a shot.
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. Come. If you can hear me or not.
We can hear you. No, we can't.
No, we can't. 1 minute we can, the next minute we cannot. Let's come back. Let's go to James for our military report.
Dave's out in the cornfield right at the moment, so it must be a little further away from the tower than he wanted it to be. We do have some news. Sadly, I have to report that the United States Army Black Hawk is being replaced by the MV-75 tilt rotor. It's an aircraft made by Bell Helicopters, and it's going to replace the Sikorsky by the 2030s. The Black Hawk has been in use for 4 decades. It's done everything from battlefield to troop movement, fuel movement. It's just been a big workhorse for the U.S. It replaced the Huey with great success. The Army 101st Airborne is going to receive the first of all of them. Its first test flight of 6 prototypes will be in 2026, and it will be delivered in 2028. And if you remember the Battle of Mogadishu, Black Hawk Down was its real premiere of its first heavy-duty combat operation. In the past 3 days, Russia has deployed more than 1,000 long-range drones and missiles. It's the reasoning by that in Ukraine is to buy time to further advance in the battlefield. They're trying to claim as much ground as they can, and you know what's obvious is they're trying to be coercive in air power during the ongoing peace talks. Don't really know if they're trying to claim the ground that they've already taken, if that's going to be part of it, if Ukraine is going to decrease in size, don't really know. I guess another victory, the Canadian Chief of Defense Staff, Jeannie Kerrigan, condones the Golden Dome by President Trump. Golden Dome is going to defend against space interceptors, hypersonics, advanced cruise missiles, and Golden Dome will be completed, according to President Trump, by the end of his term.
Excellent.
And interestingly enough, Prime Minister Mark Carney agrees and accepts that.
You know, it's amazing. I have a lot of viewers in Canada, and I would say it's a 50-50 split. We have 50% of them are on board. They want to be part of the U.S. The other 50 are like rabid dogs attacking me on my videos when I talk about it, saying that we don't want to be part of you guys and we're a sovereign nation. And I don't know if they're bots or what, but it's about a 50-50 split.
Well, Sam, think about change. A lot of people are uncomfortable with change.
Very true.
And you're talking about a complete overhaul. Alberta, just the province of Alberta would be one thing, but when you're talking about the entire country, and we spoke about its mileage, it's 155,000 miles around that country, and they're just a couple 100,000 bigger than we are. So I just think it would be fun to have a new playground.
Well,
you know?
and I also saw a very interesting interactive map, and it talked about Canada being north of us, of course, but if you draw a line from the very uppermost part of the United States and you draw it across Canada, there's portions of Canada that are southern to the United States. And what's interesting is that portion that's southern to the United States houses 60% of the population of all of Canada. And I hadn't seen that before. That just came out a couple of days ago. I wish I would have sent it to Alex. He could have he could have put it up, but 60% of the population of Canada is below the line of the uppermost portion of the United States.
That just goes to show, Sam, we got the good stuff here.
Yeah, exactly. Hey,
So-
D
so-
said, oh, I'm sorry, James.
Just to go with this, China is still heavily against us with the Golden Dome, and it's either the race to space or they still want to maintain, because they say they're a little bit ahead of us
Right.
in this Golden Dome era, and I don't think they're ever going to have the upper hand in the battlefield. That's just my opinion.
Right. Well, all of their latest technology comes from stuff that we've already discarded. So I'm not worried about it at all. All right. We have, I'm married to Bob's here. Traveler, Lisa Maria, LS303, John Gwynn. Thank you all for the gifts. It's really sweet. Scratch65 made it. Good morning, Scratch. Hey, Golfer Kath. My sister is in the chat this morning. Good morning, Golfer Kath. Blondie is here. Well, hello, Blondie. JP Metal Slayer is here. And hey, 80.
Mental Slayer.
What's that?
Mental Slayer.
No, this is JP Metal Slayer. There's another one that's very close to that. Yeah, I know. But no, this is JP Metal Slayer. And I think he's a welder, because when we were talking about trade schools, he was all for it. Or at least I think it's a he. Anyway, 80 Deuce Cap is here as well. PJ Party Peggy's here. Good morning. So, yeah, I'm telling you, Alex, you have to really watch these chat names, because there's some that are very similar, and I believe it, but that one is JP Metal Slayer, METAL. All right.
Imposters.
All right, Lee, are you back on
Yes,
track?
my life is better. Okay, so the retrograde, there's 3 times, I guess, March 14th to April 6th, and then July 7th to August 10th. And then you'll have one more that would be November 9th to 29th. So just keep in mind that when those kind of things happen, it's just the universe's way of testing you.
So you don't necessarily think that these retrogrades are a bad thing?
No, because you can use that time to kind of judge yourself. You know, like if you and I have a beef and we're always beefing like this, and then the next time you come around and I just kind of I'm not doing that. I'm not entertaining you anymore. You know.
Oh, so I'm the aggressor in this little scenario? Thanks a lot, Lee.
Here goes the bus.
Exactly.
But you know what I'm saying? It's just to test you to see if you're going to react in the same way. Can we actually have a meeting of the minds? Can we give each other consideration? You know, if not, then we go to the next retrograde and try it again.
Excellent.
You know?
Got it.
Mhm.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Lee. That was wonderful. All right.
And it is interesting though, because it seems like every retrograde, like once you get on its time frame, you'll notice that certain people will reach out to you like clockwork.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. Alex, you look like you have something you want to say.
Well, I mean, I called you this morning. Yeah, I beat you to the punch.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. Exactly. All right. So let's see here. Donna Fox is here. Good morning, Donna. Special K765 said it can be a time of reflection. Interesting. Would you agree with that, Lee?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Reflection to see, again, go back to you and I beefing. You know, if I'm not capable enough to look at what's going on and try to be the bigger person, or try to be, adjust myself, because I don't feel like you heal from something if you just keep on that same pattern.
Right.
So
Right.
if you can break that pattern of behavior within yourself, don't always look at the other person, but within yourself, then I feel like then you move up.
It's funny you say that, because I've been a fan of the Stoic philosophers for years. Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, the list goes on and on. And that's a lot of what they talk about, is we can only control ourselves. And we either respond or react to other people, or like you said, draw that wall up there so there is no interaction with somebody who's at a lower vibration, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's no need to have that conversation, because essentially you guys are unequally yoked.
Right.
I make the reference of if you and I are running up a stairwell and I'm maybe 2 floors higher than you, I can see what I'm looking at, but you're not even there yet.
Right. That's a
You
very
know,
good
you
analogy.
don't see what I see. Yeah.
Very
So
good
if you don't
analogy.
see what I see, why am I going back down those 2 levels to get back down to you?
Right. 100% I agree. All right. So let's see. Let's move over to, hey, John Glenn just sent a really cool GIF. I don't know what it is, but it was cool. And Hits is here. Good morning, Hits.
Connecting the stars.
Oh, is that what? Oh, maybe that's what it is towards what Lee was talking about. All right, so let's move on now. Let's get going on. The Department of Health and Human Services canceled a $600 million grant that was awarded to a pharmaceutical company, Moderna, to develop a vaccine for the bird flu. Now, I think that there is a lot of rhetoric and narrative being produced right now when it comes to the jab. I think that we're entering, we've been in an exposure phase for a long time. Are we looking at the justice phase coming soon after? Because normally when narratives get resurfaced like this, it's for a reason, to draw attention to something. But what do you think, Alex?
Unjected.com, the unvaccinating site, has seen a 30% increase in users.
Wow.
James.
Yeah, that's what I was asking about yesterday, wasn't it? I am.
I mean, look, I've said it before. I don't know anybody that opted out, that regrets it. It's sad. It really weighs heavy on a lot of people's hearts and relationships on both sides of the fence. If you did, if you didn't, I think this is a big deal. And I think the more information that makes it out for the public to digest, the sooner we can heal from it.
Right. And Lee, in terms of the retrograde, wouldn't this be an opportunity for people to recognize what happened there?
Absolutely. But then it's also a time to forgive. So once you come to that realization, you have to forgive the fact that you fell for it, number one. And then number two, that you can actually see that there are evil people in the world. Sometimes I don't think people want to digest that. They don't want us, they just want to see everybody as good, right? They're doctors, they're scientists. They put a label on them and then put them on a higher pedestal and do that.
And it's also forgiving yourself, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it. James, what are your thoughts?
Well, I know a lot of professionals, military alike, health and wellness professionals that have taken it. And the first thing that I had to ask them was, why did you make that decision? And I did it, not why the hell would you do something like that? I went at real professional and talked to them about it. And some feared for their jobs. Some needed the income. They weren't in a position to say, okay, well, I'll take what God gives me next. They took it out of the respect for their own families. And for the people that I served with in the military that didn't take it, that got out because they had no choice, there's a lot of those. The people that decided to, they didn't really know what to do, so they decided to go with it. I did never take it. And I was just not in a position to want to do that. And I forgave every one of them. They're still my friends. There's really no difference between them and us. They choose what to do to themselves, just like we choose to take our own medication. And you have to forgive them. You just have to. Well, and I think it's the wholesome thing to do.
Well, I don't know if you have to forgive them, but I kind of look at it like this. Without forgiving somebody, it's kind of like drinking poison and hoping the other person's going to die. And it just doesn't make sense. It's not logical. It's not reasonable. It affects our being more than it does them. So I agree with you. Forgiveness is paramount. Lynn Brooks said that I did it to keep working and was conned. Yeah, I think, Lynn, a lot of people fall into that category. What was that, Lee?
It creates disease. So dis-ease. When you're in that state of confusion and you're holding on to something, whether it even be a trauma or anything like that, if you're holding on to it, and you can kind of tell what the trauma was by where it's sitting in your body. So if it's like between your blades or if it's in your lower back, that kind of thought process to hold on to something like that. When I say forgive, I'm saying like forgive it, you know, do with what you need to do to release it, to say, okay, yes, this happened. Yes, I've learned from it. I'm not going to do it again. Now we release it, and it's releasing it back up into the atmosphere. You know, just to get rid of the energy within it.
It's interesting. There's an author. She's gone now. She's passed on, but her name was Louise Hay. And Louise Hay wrote a series of books that talked about if you're having specific pain in your body, that it's related to an emotional reaction to something, whether it's your lower back or it's your shoulder. And I would highly recommend everyone get that book. Alex, maybe you could pull it up. I can't remember the name of it. I think it's called Heal Your Body by Louise Hay. But I would recommend everyone get that book. I've read I think all of her books. And it's very pertinent to what we're talking about right now, in my opinion.
And you can do it yourself. You know, like you have meridians, you have your chakra system, and then you have meridians. You can lay your hands on yourself. Like if you have a broken heart where it's like betrayal and stuff like that, just sit with yourself and hold on to yourself. Something with the throat chakra, you know, anything that's stopped up, even your lower back. Pull the energy down through your the crown chakra, through your meridians. Hold on to your back, and then just move that energy. That's Reiki energy healing.
Yeah.
So you can move that energy, and then it's not sitting in your body, creating a disease, a dis-ease in your body.
You know, another technique that I've used for years is something called emotional freedom technique, EFT. Some people refer to it as tapping, and that's exactly what it is. The meridians, you know, whether it's on the side of your hand, whether it's on the side, you know, there's multiple meridians, and these life force flows through there. And 100% I agree with you. Mm-hmm. All right, Choose Your Poison is here. Good morning, Choose Your Poison.
So Louise Hayes has many books. One is Heal Your Body. Two, You Can Heal Your Life. Heal Yourself, Heal Your Life. You Can Create an Exceptional Life. She has a lot of books.
Yeah.
The Power Within You, The Time of Our Lives. So go do a little research, because she was one of the greats at articulating how to emotionally reconcile things inside of your head and your heart and energy.
Right. And another portion of that, as both of you know, is meditation. And Alex wrote a book on meditation. Alex, tell everybody about this so they can grab it.
It's a guide. The link is in my bio. If you click on my name, it's right there. You can buy it on Amazon. You know, I tried for years. Louise Hayes has a book, Meditations to Heal Your Life. But it was simply my journey with meditation. I know a lot of people struggle with, you know, you've got to still your mind, you got to quiet your mind. And for somebody that's extremely ADHD, it was almost an impossible goal. Like that's not going to happen. And I learned a particular meditation and was trained, and the gentleman agreed to allow me to take his meditation to the masses. And again, the link's in my bio. It's a beginner's guide to a life-changing meditation, the easy road to a peaceful mind.
Cool. Thank you, Alex. Hey, Agape. Oh, there's the. Can't really see. There it is. Okay, cool. Thank you.
That's my meditation, Sam, right there.
What's that?
That's my meditation. That picture right there.
Yeah.
That's what I do to meditate.
There you go. And that's very, very pertinent. I agree.
The sound of water, I don't know what it does, but you know, when you get a little activity on the end of the fishing rod, that's when things get good.
Yeah, I lived in Dana Point for a lot of years, and I had a condo that overlooked the ocean, and I would just sit on my balcony and just be. I loved it. It just was so calming to me for some reason.
Thank you, Donna.
Hey, Agape Rescues Children is here. Good morning, Stacy. R. Young is here, and R. Young said, oh gosh, I just lost it. It was funny. It cracked me up. Hold on, I gotta find it, you guys. Oh gosh. Oh shoot. Anyway, it was something about
My whole body hurts.
yeah, his whole body hurts or something like that. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you, R Young, but that was funny. I'm sorry I lost it. The chat gets moving so quickly. All right. Well, let's see. Let's move on here. Let's see. All right. There's a new report that Iran's nuclear weapons program is still active. Now, I would encourage everyone, whether it's Iran, whether it's Ukraine and Russia, whether it's North and South Korea, I would encourage everyone to go watch the movie called Wag the Dog, because I think there's a lot that can be gleaned from that movie as to what's going on today in our world. Now, James, what do you think about this Iran report?
Well, this is no secret. Iran's been up to this KG stuff for some time. Every time it comes to the enrichment of plutonium, Iran has always tried to exceed the max allowed by NATO. And we've got their hands in that cookie jar so many times. And we've recently talked about that probably about a month ago. And I was just paging back to try and find that. I believe it's 3.75%, or I think that's the number. And they've exceeded it on every inspection by NATO. And, they get their hands slapped. I think that we've tried to take that away from them numerous times by bombing. But their enrichment program, we can only keep so many eyes on them. I think that's going to be our nemesis going into the future for quite some time. I just don't see any other way that we're going to be able to beat them at that. They're going to try and sneak it under the towel, under the rug, undercover forever. That's just the way they've been for decades.
Got it. Alex?
I seem to remember a point in time where they were broke, couldn't afford to do it, and then all of a sudden they've got all this money to do it. I think it lends to a bigger narrative that the deep state, or whatever you want to call the war machine, it's taking its last few breaths right now, as we move into a world of enlightenment, awareness, watching what's happening, and we see that is, the fuel is the money from the war machine. What am I trying to say? It's the scared dog thing. I'm a little concerned, because that's the last move that they've got, is to fire up that war machine. So if something happens, we all need to be vigilant and pay attention so that we see the truth in what we're being told.
Right. 100%. I agree.
Alex, do you think that that's why our presence in the Indo-Pacific is building up too?
Peace through strength. There's that side of it, but I do think that they still have a few cards up their sleeve. I know Sam and I have gone back and forth about, Patriots being in control and the narrative is controlled. But there again, I can have a good dog on the leash, but if he gets scared, he'll bite you.
Well, and let me clarify that, Alex. When I say Patriots in control, I believe that is true in America. I think that they are in full control, and I think they control the narrative. I'm not sure that that's the case in everywhere else in the world. I think that the primary control factor is Patriots worldwide, but specifically in America, yes. I think there are pockets of deep state influence that still exist in other parts of the world, and I would agree with you. We don't know what they might be able or tend to do. I have to issue an apology here. R. Young said, Sam, you have to quit calling me a guy. I'm a Marine mom. So R. Young, I am so sorry. I didn't realize. It's hard to tell whether a person is male or female. Thank you, and thank your son for his service. And my apologies for misnaming you there.
Uh-oh. Allie's in the live. I got it.
Oh, no. Allie's here. Everybody straighten up. Fly right.
It's Friday. We're 30 minutes in, and you guys have only got us to 12K. I want to dance.
Well, we got to hit 75K. All right. Well, let's see. Somebody else asked, what was the movie? The name of the movie was Wag the Dog. All right. So let's move on here. We have U.S. pending home sales plunged the most in 30 months, and it's back near record lows. Now, I have been saying and believing that there's going to be a major adjustment in the real estate market, the stock market, currency market. And I've stuck to that, but now I'm beginning to think that maybe it's not going to be a significant downturn. Maybe it's going to be something different. Lee, what do you see with all that going on? Do you see something happening there?
Yeah, the mortgage side of things, when people start to realize that their mortgage and if the mortgage and the promissory note are separated, right? The contract's null and void. That means your house was already paid off within 90 days from the note. But what they did is they separated those two and sold the mortgage. So that's why another company will come back and go, hey, do you want to refinance? Because your house is already paid off. But what they did is they sold it to a different company. So now this company's pitching a new, amount for you to pay. So let's say it was $3,000 with the first, but then they pitch it to the next one. And then the next one's like, oh, well, we'll do it for $2,500. What you did was you entered yourself into this fraudulent contract, and then now they're selling the note. They're double dipping. So you're paying with fiat, and then they're also getting off of your securities. And I noticed, Ron DeSantis just announced about the money, right? I see you, Alex.
The gold and silver, you mean?
It's going to be gold and silver. Yeah. So when people start to freak out, well, what are we going to do about money? Money is not a thing. It's not a thing. So again, going back to the mortgages, and even with, Letitia James, if you follow what she's saying, what she did, I could see what she was trying to do, because she's added her dad and that kind of stuff onto the mortgage, and she's putting herself into a different jurisdiction. I get that, but I think when people start waking up, and I'll land the plane here, but I think when people start realizing that at the time of your signature, that contract is already paid. Now, whether or not it be a house is 90 days, but a car is instantly. As soon as they go to that discount window, instant gratification, right? When we start to realize that, contracts are going to look quite different, because we're going to see ourselves now come as a creditor. We are the creditor, not them, because they put themselves as the creditor, or the bank puts themselves as the creditor, and the bank doesn't lend any money. So tell me who paid for that. You did.
Right. And everybody, the things that Lee's talking about is a very in-depth conversation. I would encourage everyone to go over to Lee's channel. She's been through it. She's had her accounts banned multiple times, but she continues to speak the truth. So Lee, tell everybody what your username is on TikTok. And if you have any other social media areas, tell them now so they can follow up with you.
The new page is American Honey 17 for Q. But if you see Libra Moon 73 or Terry Lee Daniel, those are banned. And I don't reach out to you. I don't have classes, but I think Sam and I are supposed to get together at some point and come up with some sort of Zoom something, to be able to kind of break all of this down, because I know it says Jesus paid all your debts, but really, it's actually
right. And I would encourage everyone to subscribe, because those things that Lee and I will be doing, and I'm sure the other guys will be part of it, they will be for subscribers only. So if you haven't subscribed yet, jump on the subscription. And if you've already subscribed, check your status, because we're rolling these things out in the very near future. Thank you, Lee.
That brings me to the next thing I was going to mention. We talked yesterday about funding the Bitcoin strategic reserve, right? And we were asking, how are they going to do that?
Yeah.
Alex.
There we go. So it hit me yesterday. Well, that's easy. We have tons and tons and tons of gold. It is currently priced by our country at $42 an ounce. What happens when they revalue that to the current price, even if it's just to what the current price is at $3,000? Then we can borrow against that asset that we physically hold to fund a strategic Bitcoin reserve.
Interesting. James,
I will be right back, guys.
James.
One of excuse me. I watched the Fed chairman yesterday talk about the interest rate, and he's being very resistant to lowering the rate, which doesn't enhance housing at all. I often speak of Florida and the amount of vacant homes and how many are being foreclosed on and how many are actually for sale. And Florida is everybody's destination. I know that Sam, you'll probably disagree that California is probably better than Florida as far as locale, but people like to escape to both. And using Florida, because that's where my interests are, I don't know if they can handle another year of that.
Well, it's all, James, it's almost like with the amount of money that President Trump is spending, it's almost as if they're trying to bankrupt the central banks. And I think that that's a part of this play here, that they're building up those bets. They're not dropping the interest rates. It sure looks to me like they're trying to do something significant to the central banks. Is that partly what you think?
I think so. They're talking about an interest rate cut in June, and I hope it's next week, right off the bat. Obviously, I'm kind of in the market for a refinance myself, and I know what Lee is saying. When you refi, they sell your loan. They did it to me in month number 3. They sold my loan. I get new paperwork. Same thing with my Amazon credit card. They sold to Chase Bank, and now. Discover sold to Chase Bank. So I get this big notification. So Lee, do I owe anything to Discover if I have a balance?
Well, the thing is think about it. If I sell you something, but I'm still paying on it, how can I sell it to you? So think about the refi people. If that house is already paid off, how are they able to resell the note?
Well, I get that.
Yeah.
If I raise too much animosity, they may kick me out of my place, and then where's my next VA finance coming from? So I'm gonna be walking in those roses, kind of softly for now.
And we will. Sorry, James.
No, go ahead.
And we will be dealing with these things on that private live with Lee. I don't know 10% of what she knows in this area. But when we do it, I would encourage everyone to join, because there are some earth-shattering information that she's going to be sharing.
I think that room's probably going to be pretty full.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you guys are even going through a foreclosure, if you can get somebody to pay the taxes on it, that's all they want is the taxes. They want the post office zip code, because that's an account number. That's a trust account number. So they want that. They don't necessarily want your house. They want that zip code, and then now you go in behind it, and then you pay the taxes on it. Like, if your house is in foreclosure, I could come behind you and pay the taxes on the house, and the house would be mine. Right. You're not paying for the house. You're paying for the post.
Right.
The post.
So, Jess, the mess from Texas says Capital One Discover was sold to Capital One. You're right. I misspoke. I've got Chase on the brain for whatever reason, but yeah, you're right. It was Capital One.
Okay, cool. Hey, Gen X Holtz is here, and Tina made it. Good morning, Tina. All right, Gypsy One is here as well. Chris Romano said my Discover was sold to. Oh, okay, that's the one you just talked about. Okay, got it. All right, so let's move on here. The FBI, and this is one that I sent something to Alex this morning to bring up. The FBI email instructed employees not to promote Pride Month on Bureau time. They said that they are only focused on our core mission. So Don Jr. posted something that I thought was very interesting that Alex is going to pull up right now. And there are multiple ways to interpret this. Now, as you can see, it's a dam holding back what looks to be a rainbow, a conglomeration of rainbow colors. And he's got May 31st as the dam maybe breaking. Now, I would love to hear what everybody thinks of this. I'm not going to give my opinion at this point. I'm gonna turn over to Lee first, and then we'll go to James, and then we'll go to Alex. Hello, Alex?
I didn't see that picture.
Alex, can you pull it up again, please?
I mean, that's what I was looking for, but...
Hold on one second. Let him pull that up. There it is. You see it?
Yeah. I have several, just because, like, symbology and stuff, like... I don't know. For, like, the Pride people and stuff like that, I look at it like it's not my concern. It's not my business. When I interface with the Most High, that person's not going to be there. So what does it really matter, kind of a thing? Like, let people do what they want to do. But as far as the rainbow was a promise from God that, like, he is not going to flood the earth again. And I feel like, I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but listen to my heart. Hold on. So I think that the Pride people took it, and then people that are against the Pride people look at it like anytime they see the rainbow, they poo-poo it. You know, so I feel like it kind of blurs a little bit there. I could care less because, again, it's not my business. But
Well, I mean, the pride is one way to look at it, but another interpretation of that meme from Don Jr. is the rainbow currency. That maybe he's talking about the switch that I've been talking about.
Right, but the rainbow currency, the dollar is up and down. It's not sitting this way, you know, and they're getting rid of this currency, you know.
Right, I agree, 100%.
But is it going to go to this one where it has JFK on it?
Right, I don't know. Alex,
You brought up. Are they trying to intentionally crash or bankrupt our current
central banking system?
note provider? It's already happened. And if we look at history, everybody go do a little digging at the previous two attempts at a central banking system. When they blew up, what happens, right? Usually a very large scale conflict. Why? Because war equals money. Or in the 70s, they took us off of the gold standard temporarily, was supposed to be, to create the oil-backed dollar. Like, it's already happened. You cannot sit at a keyboard and create money and create money and create money when it has nothing behind it. Earlier this week, I showed you a silver certificate. It has to be backed by something, whether that is the strategic Bitcoin reserve and gold, combination thereof. When you have something that you can borrow against, you have a strong economy. How can you borrow against a note? Here, look, I got a note. Anybody? I got a note. James, will you loan me, I don't know, $500,000 for this piece of paper, please?
No, comes with it. The vet and the K5 come with it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just wrong, sir.
Well, okay, and here's the thing. You're right, Alex. The Federal Reserve was rolled into the Treasury years ago, and I believe they are moving us towards, as Lee said, a new currency. Now, hey, Dave showed up. Can you hear us and everything, Dave?
Hey.
Okay, were you able to see that meme that Don Jr. posted?
I did see that.
Okay,
yeah.
what's your thoughts on it?
My thought process is that the dam is gonna break and expose a lot more.
Okay, got you.
You know what that is? Who knows?
Yeah, James, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, you know, the question started out, or the topic started out about the FBI starting to slow down about what they're saying about LGBTQ. And you have to think, too, that who is the FBI's director, and what cabinet boss is his boss. And you have to think also about what Pete Hegseth has done with the military. And this is probably the final week for transgender to be ousted from the military. And that's how I connect the dot. As far as them being done, I think part of this is the government or the public speaking out about their disapproval of that. For the rainbow to be, I'm going to call it Hoover Dam, to be behind that great big dam, and what was under there the last time it went low, what's under there this time when it went low. I have to side with Dave on this. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot spilled, and it's going to be probably more than just money. I think it's the corruption also.
Right. Again, I'm just throwing out possibilities. I have no idea what he's referring to, but hey, Martin's WB made it. Hey, Martin's, glad you can make it. Excuse me. Everybody's welcoming you back, Dave. We can see you now. Star Guy just made it. Good morning, Star Guy. I'm glad you're here. All right, so let's move on to.
That takes a new meaning today, doesn't it, Dave?
Breaking news.
Absolutely.
Breaking news. Supreme Court rules Trump can revoke legal status for 500,000 migrants.
Yep, I saw that. That's phenomenal. And again,
See ya.
I believe
Just
it's the exposure phase of the court system. And Lee, I'm going to come to you here in a second, but it's why do we have our attorneys and judges being certified by the British Accreditation Registry, the bar? It's British. It's not American. Lee, what do you think?
It's like a Sam's Club. It's it's just a membership, but it's not even like stateside. It is from the British accredited, whatever, BAR, accredited, what is the R?
It's British Accreditation Registrar, I believe.
Yeah, so at that point, because they're in Washington or based out of Washington, they also have to have a FARA, which is a foreign registry. It's like the Foreign Registry Act or something like that, and they don't have that either. So I like that it's coming down on like the grassroots, because then that's going to expose these people who are in office fraudulently. It's almost like, wait, are you even supposed to be there? It's like going to your kid's school and seeing this principal, but he's not even supposed to be there. So.
And it's like the Lloyd Brunson case, about oaths. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. But everybody follow Lloyd Brunson, because I think that's already been decided. We just haven't heard about it yet. All right, so sorry, Lee, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say, but it goes back to oaths. What is the oath to? The Constitution?
Right.
Well, the Constitution is the very bottom of the line for them, because even the biblical, it says, woe to you lawyers. So here it is, you have a deity in the Bible that is saying, woe to you guys. So you have to wonder, like, what are they doing for this master to say this about these people?
And
dig a little further down the rabbit hole.
And another thing to look at is we actually have two constitutions right now. We have the Constitution for the American people, which is the original, and the Constitution of the American people, which is the cheap knockoff that happened in 1871. And we won't go down that deep rabbit hole, but I would encourage everyone to look into that. All right, so let's do our sponsor announcement before we get any further. So as all of you know, Mike Lindell has sponsored me from the beginning. He's a great guy. He has an American company, MyPillow, American workers, American products, and he's fighting for the integrity of the United States of America. So if you want to help this channel, help Mike, help an American company, go to mypillow.com or mystore.com and use the discount code SAM, and you'll get up to 80% off. Secondly, we have Neil Naturopathic, the only toxic-free, chemical-free hair care products in the states that I'm aware of. Go to neilnaturopathic.com, enter in the discount code SAM20, that's SAM20, and you'll get 20% off of your order. Thirdly, we have Dr. Peter Glidden, stalwart in health and wellness. Go to samshalhoub.com. There are 2 buttons for Dr. Glidden. One that will take you to his website where you can ask him any question you can think of in health and wellness. And the second button is to buy his new book. Use the code SAM and get 10% off that book. And of course, we have to talk about cybersecurity. Alex?
This week alone, Tiffany & Co., we all like our fine jewelry, was hacked. Kettering Health was a health organization that was exploited by ransomware. USA Cellcom, telecommunication company, was hacked. Service aid, misconfiguration. The tennis shoe company in Germany, Adidas, was hacked. Look, if these corporations have multi-million dollar budgets and they're still getting hacked, it's because they're not following the basics. So if you own a business, you want the basics, you need to know, what should I be doing to protect my organization? RiskToolTech.com. We give you the step-by-step checklist on what you need to be securing your company. We don't provide the technology. It is the things that you need to know about technology that you can then take to a consultant, your IT department, or or to an outside IT company to get yourself covered.
Excellent. Thank you, Alex. All right, so let's move on here. We have, after firing more than 100,000 people, the White House is sending out a new, quote, merit-based guidelines for hiring federal workers. Once again, critical thinking, logic, reasonable thinking. Of course you would hire people on their merit, not on their skin color, not on their age, on whether they can handle the job and do a good job or not. Dave, what do you think?
Well, it's important all the way around, especially for airplane pilots and doctors.
Yeah.
That's the key, you know. And why wouldn't it be if it was your work or your fellow employees? It's also very important.
Right, exactly. James?
Well, when you talk about the likes of some Congress people, senators, maybe somebody like Ilhan Omar, marrying a brother to yeah, Alex is covering his head. I mean, they're not properly vetted either. And you know, the merit is not only the education, but also the true meaning of being a U.S. citizen. They should be a U.S. citizen. And whether, like Dave points out, in the medicinal world, there was a guy by the name of Hassan over in Fort Hood, Texas, that was a doctor. He was a major, and he ended up flipping out and unaliving quite a few soldiers that day in Fort Hood. So I believe that's extremely important. I could have been in that hospital that day that happened.
Right.
So that kind of stuff really matters to me. And the merit, oh yeah, they should stand by to 110.
Right. Lee?
I feel like it has to be integrity and morals. You know, there needs to be like a moral compass, right? I feel like that needs to happen too. But I noticed that James said something about civilian. Some of you guys may not even be or citizens. You know, if you look up 18 USC 911, that actually says that if you say that you're a citizen and you're not, like, that's penalties and some jail time. So you can go to like FOIA, it's Freedom of Information Act, and actually ask for the records on you to see if you're actually a citizen.
Well, speaking of jail time, I think there's a few people on the panel that may have experienced that. I don't know. I'm just shooting in the dark here, but we'll see. Sorry, Julie, I couldn't resist.
Yeah, but then if you look and you try to like Alex's face.
I know.
But if you look, I would think that you're actually not.
Right.
You're actually not.
Right.
Or a citizen.
You know, Lee, all that we've been talking about, native San Diegan said the definition of attorney is actor in Black's Law Dictionary.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting. John Doherty, Mama Bear, Rosie, Laura McCrary. Oh my gosh, all these gifts. Thank you, everyone. It's really great. All righty, let's see here. Let's move on here. Oh, we got a little glitch here in the screen. Oh, we got it fixed. Okay. So the U.S. Appeals Court reinstated President Trump's tariffs. I mean, I'm not going to give my opinion on this. You all know where I stand on this. Alex, what are your thoughts? Oh, yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's the systematic destruction of the old world systems. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Lee?
I agree. I think the tariffs are good. I just think it's new to people. So, you know, they're going to poo-poo it. They don't know what it is.
And you have the mainstream media railing against it, which is just Trump derangement syndrome at its peak, right? So I agree. Dave, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's not surprising. Somebody had put a post on and celebrated with one of the ABC Arizona and said, "This is what happened," and everybody's cheering. I go, "Okay, guys, let's see how long it's going to last." And that was less than a day? That wasn't even a day, was it?
Yeah,
5 hours.
Yeah. Right.
You know, my mom lays in bed with the TV on all day. That's just where she's at in life. All well. But by proxy, I'm hearing what that Squawk Box is saying all day long. I was pouring coffee this morning and I was like, "Mom, can we just like put it on the music station for a little while?" The bombardment with the narrative that is so against every single breath that is being taken by the current administration. It doesn't matter which employee is doing what. The narrative is just, it's constant. It's like nails on a chalkboard. It's insane. So turn that shit off. Get outside. Get your feet in the ground. Step away from it, because the reality, if you do a little research and go look at what economies look like when they're doing exactly what is being done right now, we're freaking winning, ladies and gentlemen. We're winning. Stop listening to the narrative.
100%.
I had a buddy contact me and said, "Can you believe what Trump said at that college graduation?" I said, "I haven't really heard it." I said, "But
what did he say?"
Question just said something about arm candy, or talking about his wife or his wife, or something that, you know how Trump goes on. And I said, well, if you didn't say anything about Biden, you can't say anything about Trump right now.
Well, and the thing is, not only do we know that TDS is a real thing, Trump derangement syndrome, but President Trump does those things for specific reactions. He is a troller, and he is a king troller. I mean, my goodness, I shouldn't say king because people are going to flip out over that. He is a master troller, right? Yeah. And I think had he not been that type of person, he wouldn't have gotten the press that he's gotten, which has enabled him to enact the things that he needed to do.
I mean, think about all the press he had and how much that would have cost if he would have paid it out of pocket.
Exactly.
It's huge.
He can sit in bed at 11 o'clock at night and go, watch what everybody's going to talk about today.
It's so true. It's so true.
I do the same thing, just not on the large scale.
Right, exactly. I know. I get your stuff. You said some good stuff out, Dave. You do. James?
Well, you know, you have to think about what has happened here. Nobody else has ever really done something to this scale. To bring money to the United States at a very fast pace, countries are realizing what's going on with this tariff, and yeah, we have been done unjust. But to think of a judge that comes forward and says, "Hey, this Foreign Trade Commission says that those tariffs that you place pretty much worldwide are unjust." Well, no, they're not, and we realize that they're not. And for a president to actually go out, harness all those, well, I don't know how many trillions of dollars that he came back with. He basically woke America up and said, "See how we're getting ripped off?" And for a trade judge to say, "No, that's not fair," and then all of a sudden the United States takes a look at it and says, "Yes, it is." I mean, you don't have to be an idiot to figure that out.
Right. 100%. 100%. And as Alex and I were talking about earlier this morning, I'm not going to get into all the details, but when I was at the Bitcoin conference, I met someone who is involved with the United Arab Emirates, and we exchanged emails, and he wants to come on the show. And I'm not going to get into the details here, but he is very high ranking in that whole system over there. And as Alex and I discussed, it's going to be something very interesting, not only for the American people, but for this show in particular. And I'm excited to roll it out when the time comes. But that's what I'll just
I wonder how his cybersecurity is.
What's that?
I wonder how his cybersecurity is.
I don't know, but we're definitely going to have to tell him about Risk Tool Tech. That's for sure. Virgo 47 made it. She's a little late, but she's here. I'm glad you made it. All right, so let's move on to our last article here. A $500 billion bank is going to launch Bitcoin crypto buying. It's called Banco Santander, I believe is how it's pronounced. If it's not the biggest bank, it's one of the biggest banks in Europe. Now, with all that we're seeing at the Bitcoin conference, with Don Jr. there, J.D. Vance there, Vivek Ramaswamy there, so many major players were at the Bitcoin conference. Oh, and that's right, I was there too. But there were so many major players there. And there's so much talk about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. You know what? James, why don't you start off on this one?
It's going to be the way of the world, whether people like it or not. And this is a change that everybody's going to have to accept. And if you have a country like China and Japan turning their tail and saying, "Hey, we better jump on that train before we miss it." Like J.D. Vance said I went back and watched his speech and his highlights, and he said everyone's going to own Bitcoin. So it's coming. And it's something we got to look into. And if you don't know about it, obviously Sam can help you out at samshalhoub.com. But it's where we're going as a world, and you don't want to miss the boat.
Yeah,
You're actually not going to be able to miss the boat.
Exactly. Dave, what are your thoughts?
We're on the cusp. We'll see when it gets released. I think there's a lot of other stuff come in front of it first, but I think it's going to be the icing on the cake for sure.
Right. Lee?
I agree with the panel.
Oh.
It's just exciting time to be alive. So I'm just watching numbers, watching what the banks are doing, watch you stepping down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Tina said, Sam, did you see them when you were at the conference? So here's the thing. G Money over on Badlands Media, I reached out to him knowing he was going to be there, and he, out of the goodness of his heart, sent me a full press pass. So I had access to everything. I was in the media room. I was behind. I got in everywhere, but I could not find any of the major players. I did run into Coach JV, and he will be coming on the show as well. We exchanged emails, and he's going to come on. But I couldn't find anybody. Then I found out that there was another off-site kind of meeting type place at Maggiano's restaurant, but I didn't have time to get from the conference to that other one to listen to Ramaswamy and some of the others that were there. So to answer your question, no, I only ran into a few people, but the fact that we were there, this is just the beginning, everyone. We are just at the beginning of what is going to take place. Alex, what are your thoughts on this last article?
I mean, we've talked about this over and over and over on your
But
show.
I think it's important that we talk about it, right?
100%. Look, they're throughout history, there is always a significant event that everybody looks back on and is like, man, if I could have gone back to the late 60s, early 70s and bought a couple of, Plymouth Cudas
Yeah.
for $3,000, $3,600 if it was completely tricked out, right? And I put it into a building and I left it alone for 40 years. That car is worth $1 million. This is the opportunity, folks. This is the time for you to educate yourself because it's coming. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is just based off of my own research and my own critical thinking and my own looking at what's going on in the world today. We are moving to a digital age. We are moving to a place where the current note system is done and people are waking up to it. So what is a physical asset? I know Bitcoin is a digital currency. I know it's not a physical asset, but the wallet that I hold my crypto on, right? My wallet that I hold my crypto on is something physical in my hands, in my control. If you don't know how to get in, you want to know more, reach out. What the hell was that?
I don't know, but it was cool.
So reach out to Sam, right? samshalhoub.com. Book an appointment with Sam. He'll help you get your feet wet, and we're off to the races because the train is still sitting at the station. It might be starting to ramp up. It's starting to puff a little smoke because once that train leaves the station, it's going to be one of those times where you look back and go, man, I really should have taken $100, $50, $25, whatever. It's not a get rich quick scheme. I'm not telling you to go dump your life savings and empty out your 401k and whatever else, though that might not be a bad idea. But that's not financial advice. I'm just saying.
Well, and now that they've allowed the 401ks to utilize cryptocurrency, it's a whole nother world.
It's an absolutely whole other world. When
Right.
there's transparency of where my money sits, I can go look at every place that my money is at and when and where and how, and it's non-editable. Nobody's sitting down on the keyboard going, you know what? Today I think I'm going to create another 100 billion. It's a fixed supply. It's never going to increase. And as it gets used and the demand goes up, when there's a demand for it, let's look at the historical value. When something is in high demand, guess what? It's worth more money.
Exactly. Leonard Little 925 said, Sam, I just subscribed for 6 months. Welcome, Leonard. He said, let me know when you're going to be doing that Zoom. We will. We're going to be doing a couple of different subscriber-only events. One is going to be a subscriber-only live here on TikTok, and the others are going to be a Zoom call completely separate from the platform, but you're only going to have access to either one of those if you're a subscriber on the TikTok channel. So I would encourage everyone to go and subscribe and make sure that your subscription is up to date because we're going to be rolling it out. Alice and I are working on it this weekend. All right, everybody. So that's all we have for today. We are going to move now towards our closing thoughts. James, why don't you lead us off?
I spoke earlier about the uranium enrichment program for Iran, and they need to go past 3.67. I think I misspoke and said 3.75. And most of the time they're 60% over that number. So going forward, it should be a great weekend. A lot of people talk in the government about good things to happen. The one thing that I'll add to the crypto part that I did catch during the event that you were at the convention, they said you don't have to even own one whole Bitcoin to become wealthy.
Yeah, let me interrupt you there, James, because Robert Kiyosaki, the rich dad, poor dad guy, came out and said that if you own 0.01 of one Bitcoin, you'll be wealthy. And then Eric Trump came out and said, if you own 0.1 of a Bitcoin, you will be ultra wealthy. Go ahead, sorry.
So those, and you can easily buy that. And if you sacrifice 1 pound of hamburger, you could probably get close to a 0.1. I don't really know what 0.1 is, but 0.1 of 100,000 is not a lot of money. So
0.01 right now would be about $1,000.
Okay, well, whatever we got to do to get that $1,000, I'll sell lemonade on the corner if I have to for $1,000. That would. You can figure out a way to get $1,000.
Right, and that's at today's rate. Now, when it gets to 200,000 and 300, that'd be a different story. But yeah,
You can sell your eyebrows.
No, I think that ship has sailed. All right, Dave, let's move to your final thoughts.
I heard the eyebrows are half off, but anyway.
We love you, James.
It's going to be an interesting day. President Trump is having an Oval Office press conference with Elon Musk at 1:30 today. And then he's off to U.S. Steel in Pennsylvania soon thereafter. So that'll be fun to watch. Thanks for everybody joining, and thanks for having me today. I was only here half the day, so that's not going to pay very good. So.
Well, we're glad you made it, Dave. We're glad you made it. Lee, let's move to final thoughts for you.
So words are important. Words are also spells. So it says perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. I want to stop us because we don't chase anything. You attract it. Whatever is for you will find you. Whatever is not for you will always pass you, right? So when you chase something, it's almost like if you're holding a magnet and you're trying to chase another magnet, it's just going to keep pushing it away, right? So when you're doing this and you're allowing new thoughts and new energy, new education to channel into you, make sure that you're not just pushing it against it. Allow it to flow through you. Allow it to, if I could say, become you, because if you're chasing a higher frequency, and I didn't mean to say that word, but if you are attracting a higher frequency, then you have to align to that frequency. So chasing it is more of a negative kind of thought to me. But if you just allow it to flow and then raise your frequency, whether it be with like Hertz frequencies or binaural beats, or what's the one, Hemisync or something like that, it's both. That's going to raise your frequency to become whatever you want. Like if you want a Lambo with butterfly doors, you're going to have to get up there at that frequency, that luxury lifestyle. You're going to have to like change that a little bit. So my point is don't chase things. Allow it to come to you. Allow it to, refresh yourself, because it's just going to be new information.
Words of wisdom, Lee. Thank you. Alex?
I was going to talk about something totally different, but Lee brought that up, and I'm going to take a minute to share the story. It's as simple as this. Speak it out loud. So, an example in hindsight's 2020, right? Looking back, so in 2008, Pontiac released a car called a G8. I'm a car guy. You guys all know this. It was a Pontiac G8. The GT had a 6-liter. The GXP had a 6.2 LS3. So effectively, it was a badass grocery getter. Okay. And I saw the commercial for the car. I remember it so vividly, sitting on the couch and where I was at in my life. And at that time right then, that was not something that I was just going to go out and sign for or write a check for or whatever. It was that unattainable thing. But I stated out loud on the couch that day, I said, I will own one of those cars. That's all I said. That's all I said. I will own one of those cars one day. I've now owned 2. So just simply proclaiming it, putting it out there, stating it with confidence that I will have this, I will do that. It does create change, because the energy that you put off when you make that affirmative statement, it's going to come back to you. It is going to come back to you. Lead with love in your heart, and everything around you changes. The second pin video on my profile, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's exactly what I talk about. What you lead with is what you get back. Imagine a mirror. If you make an ugly face to the mirror, you're going to be looking at an ugly face. If you smile at the mirror, you're going to be getting a smile. So be that mirror, right? Attract what you want and deserve in this life, because it's yours to have. You just got to go get it. And Sam, when you're done with your final closing thoughts, we didn't get to dance today because we didn't hit the 75, and I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but for the closing song today, I've got 1 minute of your time, and it's freaking epic.
Looking forward to it. So, Lee, I agree with you. Words are so important. Alex, I agree. James and Dave, of course. And me personally, I'm not as attracted to things as much as I am mental states. And what I do is gratitude. I give gratitude out loud multiple times a day. I'm grateful that I am healthy. I'm grateful that I have food to eat. I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head. And when you focus on gratitude, at least when I focus on gratitude, God, the universe, gives me more to be grateful for. And I am so grateful for everyone on this panel. I am so grateful for everyone in the chat. I'm so grateful for this community that we're building. I'm so grateful that we have this life to live. So, as always, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Remember, the best is yet to come. Be grateful for where we're at today. All right, everybody. Alex, what do you got for us?
One more thing, because you brought up gratitude, and then I'm gonna deliver. The first thing every single morning. Thank you for waking me up. Thank you for air in my lungs, and thank you for a voice to help heal.
Amen. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, happy Friday.
Lee, you're showing your rock and roll hands.
Man, that guy can do anything.
No kidding, right?
I love when they make the little and being a little baby. It's
Yeah.
so cute.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
I mean, it's said that he's Elvis, so.
Exactly. All right, everybody. Well, we're taking you out with President Trump rocking the house. So everybody have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you all on Monday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, and have a great